Hey guys, I just wanted to shoot a quick intro for today's Mark Women's Breakfast Club. It has been a week and a half almost since we filmed today's episode. We filmed last week's episode today's and also next week's in a batch. And last week there was a lot of conversation about the coronavirus. At the time that we were recording, it felt like it was wildly blown out of proportion. I know there are a lot of mixed feelings about that at this point, but I did want to just point out that both Homer and I are now working remotely out of our main offices. I'm working from home. He's working from a kind of a satellite office off of his main office area, and it's a wild time right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear in the air, and a lot of we're facing so many unknowns. I am sure that for some of you, this is affecting your businesses. It's affecting your potentially affecting your livelihood, potentially affecting what your daytime routine looks like, what your family routine. Many children are having to stay home from school for weeks, potentially even months, and there are so many scenarios where the situation could get worse much sooner than it gets better. And so I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge that, to let you know that we are appreciative of you, appreciative of the time that we get to spend together and the excuse that we have to come together as a community. And we are thinking of you, praying for you and your families, and hoping that you're safe, hoping that you are being well cared for, and that as we all kind of weather the storm together, that we are able to pull together, really offer each other the support that is needed, regardless of what you feel about the situation, the severity of it. Wouldn't it be great if we could all look back on this and just laugh at how silly we were for taking it so seriously? I certainly would hope for that outcome rather than not taking it seriously and regretting it. So, thank you for being here. Hopefully this video will help alleviate some of the pain of working from home or working wherever you are, and give you a little bit of something to do while all of us are in quarantine. So look forward to it. Again, this week's video and next week's were pre-recorded, so there probably won't be much update from there, but stay safe and enjoy the video.
Hey, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from SethMarkwood.com.
Together along with you, the three of us, we are Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. Welcome and good morning, boy.
Good morning, Homer. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Why is there stuff on this table?
They can't see that stuff because it's cropped out.
Is
but
it?
There's stuff on the table.
Hey, we're going to do, this is very much a departure for us. We're probably not going to smoke our pipes today.
I think we should probably smoke our pipe.
And if we do, maybe not as much. Because we've been talking quite a bit about air fryers.
Yeah, we thought it would be a fun opportunity to alienate most of our viewership. So, ready to tank the metrics here on our channel. So, keto. We've been talking about keto and talking about some food that we can enjoy while not enjoying meat, because that's really what keto is great for, is enjoying meat and cheese and not a whole lot else. But there have been some incredible advancements, I think, in the world of
chemistry,
of enjoyable food that doesn't have carbohydrates.
All right, so let's start at the beginning of this. As you said, going back to low carb with Dr. Adkins, everybody heard, it's the eat all the bacon you want diet.
Yeah,
really the Ron Swanson diet. And having been on low carb diets a couple times, the frustration comes in because at the point where there's really nothing crunchy, right? Because you're eating meat, and maybe you can cook your bacon to the point it's crunchy, but no corn chips, no potato chips, no popcorn, none of those things that you snack on that offer that kind of texture. And definitely no bread, because bread and anything with wheat like that is going to have a lot of carbohydrates in it. And so as the diet has gone on from year to year to year, and really has been through a couple rises and falls in popularity,
Yeah.
each time there's a bit of a rise, some new things come on the market. Most recently, they started making nut-based alternatives to the wheat flour. And so we've been able to make some great pizza doughs and some great things using almond flour, coconut flour, and again,
Flax seeds
the
and
variety of nuts. Then, what did Aldi go and do?
yeah. So it's Aldi is now offering a really inexpensive, comparatively, version so another company designed a bread that is 0 carbs, and the way that's achieved is if you're doing low carb, your body doesn't really process fiber, and this bread is 9 carbohydrates per slice, but 9 grams of fiber per slice. And so when
you
doing low
calculate-
carb,
yeah, you
you
calculate
subtract the fiber from the carbs, and so you end up with what is called net carbs. So this bread is 0 net carbs, meaning total carbs all in that your body's processing as an energy source. And keto and low carb is all about switching the energy source your body is burning from sugar to fat. And as it becomes fat adapted and starts burning fat, it will start burning stored fat as well as the fat from your food that you're eating. And so they have now been offering. It was a product that was sold by some, like a Whole Foods for $6 for a small loaf. Aldi bought the rights, or I don't know, licensing for it, and so they've been making bread that is truly like just like a wheat bread. It's a little bit, I don't know, gummy maybe.
Gummy?
It's a little bit yeah. I would say
I pick up a little bit of the soy flavor. I don't care for the taste of soy.
I don't pick that up.
Although
at
I
all.
don't mind eating tofu.
The texture to me is just a little bit more. I don't know. I think gummy is. It's
We're gonna go with gummy.
It's not gummy, but I think about it's gummy. It's gummy.
So this bread came out. They sell it for, what was it, under $4 a loaf.
Yep.
And the shelves get wiped out the moment it hits.
They do a test run.
People were buying it and selling it on eBay. Selling it for $10 a loaf on eBay. So finally they caught up with the demand, and several times now that we've gone, they've got the 2 varieties. You like the whole wheat version. I like the multi-grain, whatever they call it. It has some nuts in it.
Nuts.
But I think it's mostly because I like the texture.
Yeah.
I like that there's a little bit of texture to it. But you can toast it, right? So that gives you crisp. You can make grilled cheese sandwiches, which you couldn't make before. On Instagram, not long ago, I posted pictures of, I was kind of creating a French toast casserole. I made some French toast with it and remembered why French toast is such a hassle. It's slow to cook. The way I like it with a lot of egg in it. And then that takes a while to cook to get it fully cooked. And so I made a casserole with 2 layers, and I think, how many did I have? 12 slices of the bread, 8 eggs, some whole, cream, cinnamon, nutmeg, artificial sweetener, and it came out fantastic. And it's given me some hope for doing something like, I really enjoy bread pudding. So making stuff like that is fantastic. We've also been talking about air fryers, and you borrowed or stole this from your mother-in-law.
That's
is that right? And so I've been very curious about how these work and how well they work.
So an air fryer is essentially a miniature convection oven. There's a heating element at the top and fan, and then everything sits in this tray. And so there's a metal tray here. It's just a simple jar, and the food that you're cooking sits in this. And so this clamps down. Watch your finger. Clamps down, and so it allows for air circulation all the way around the food. So it is being heated in. The air is being circulated all around, and so
So it's not just a broiler, because you do have that broiler element
a little bit
to a degree, right?
So you can take frozen out of the deep freezer chicken wings, throw them in here, and in 30 minutes, depending, 20 to 45 minutes, depending on how much you load it up. I've loaded it to the top with this. You can have perfectly cooked chicken wings, from frozen to fully cooked, in a way that you couldn't do in a traditional fryer. You can spritz it with oil and whatever else. Still, you get very crisp. It's great.
So the idea of an air fryer, you're right about it being a convection oven, but it actually was a thing, a commercial thing, that they started using for restaurants and small places to be able to fry foods without a fryer. So basically, a lot of pre-made fried items like French fries, onion rings, even breaded chicken wings that you buy already frozen, they have been partially cooked, partially fried, and they have some oil already on them. And so by putting them into this type of device where the hot air is being blown onto them, it essentially fries them to their final finished temperature. So if there's enough oil on something, it really does on the surface get fried. Mm-hmm. So what did you just put in there?
So I put in here 2 pieces of Aldi keto bread, 0-carb bread, that had been buttered. And I thought it would be an interesting experiment to see, is it possible to toast bread in an air fryer? And if it is, then the implications of this are kind of vast, because this serves many purposes, right? And so you could maybe use one kitchen gadget to do a number of different things. We mentioned last week.
Wait, as you're getting ready to plug this in, I have every confidence in the world that the power in my shop is about to go out.
Yep, and I am confident it's going to be fine.
So let's see what happens when you turn this on.
Oh,
it's probably 1,500 watts.
The light's dimmed, but we're good. All right, so I've turned on to 400 degrees. We'll give that about 7 minutes. So I will admit I've done this before. It was a success. If this works here in the shop, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try making a grilled cheese in this as well. I mentioned last week that my wife and I are planning potentially a road trip across the country to Seattle, and one of the challenging things for me is going to be food. Finding food that's not too expensive on the road, that I can eat and maintain keto. And so one of the things that I'm already planning for is taking my sous vide in a small cooler with me, because then I can could take frozen food, but could cook.
Seeing smoke.
Smoke from?
I don't know, but I'm seeing smoke.
It's just your shop is catching fire. We're good.
Okay, so again, it's blowing over whatever is residual stuff that's in there.
Yeah, there was some cheese in there.
Anyway, so you were thinking that you would take this with you as you travel?
Probably not take this, but it's possible. If you lived in a camper, if you could do something like make toast and grilled cheese and chicken wings and other fried foods in this, then it's possible you could get away with having it as an omnitasker or unitasker, doing multiple jobs. So we'll see how this works in the shop, running on low electricity probably. We'll see.
So I did a bunch of research on these and found one that was highly rated and at a price that I felt comfortable. Some of these are just outrageously priced.
$150, $200 plus dollars.
You're spending money on the brand, and so ignoring the brand. And I ordered one on Amazon. Let me tell you what it is and what I paid.
If you are ordering one, let me tell you one thing to look out for. This, I wish, if I ever buy my own, I will buy one that has a different mechanism for the drawer, because this one has the drawer and the metal piece that comes out. So when you're doing frozen chicken wings or any other food that's going to let off a lot of moisture, you're going to want to remove the water from that periodically, because for chicken, frozen wings, the first 5 minutes, you've got to empty out that reservoir, because if it fills up with water, the air is not circulating underneath, right? Problem is, the only part on the... We're fine. The only part... That's why it's plugged into a circuit breaker. The only part... Oh, the heat just went off, is what happened. So the heating element was on. It's a on-off heating element.
Okay.
And so the heat went off, and so lights came back on. The way this one is, the entire bowl I was just showing you is metal, except for the front edge. And so when you take the handle off and you go to empty out the water, you can't take the whole thing and dump it because it's filled with chicken or whatever food is in there. So you have to remove the base from the basket. But you can only touch the base on the front lip because everything else is hot metal. And so it is very precarious to empty that out.
So is there a handle on the base?
No.
It's just the handle on the basket.
So if I were to buy one, and I don't know if they even make them this way, but I would search for one that has a handle or has some other way of holding the base or draining the base. Like if there was a drainage plug or a number, the problem could be solved in a number of different ways. It's precarious to do it that way.
So here's the one that I bought, and it has 4.5 stars on Amazon with 555 reviews. It's a 5.8 quart, and this company actually has 3 different sizes. It's $71.15 now, regularly $90.
Nice.
So, and it came with a recipe book or something like that
sure.
that might be helpful. But like I said, I watched a bunch of YouTube video reviews and I read several reviews, and it steered me towards this one. We'll link to it, of course.
Yeah.
If this interests you.
I'll tell you what.
That one is that's like Cook's Illustrated or something like that, and so you're paying a premium for.
You are, and it's got 2 spin dials, and so it's got a traditional kind of timer model, and then your temperature knob.
Mine's got a digital touchscreen.
Yeah, fancy. What got me interested in wanting to try this out? I watched a video from, I think it's now Pro Home Cooks as the channel. It used to be Brother Grimm's
Brothers Grimm.
Yeah. And channels changed now. It looks like it's only the one brother. And he did a video of like 8 unique things, or basically putting air fryers to the test. He baked bread in it. He made like apple strudel
from raw
from dough. Cooked it. Made like apple strudel. Made chicken wings. He made some really unique things. And then he's done now a second video. And I was like, man, that is, if you can do all of that stuff in there, plus the cleanup is easy, plus it's relatively set it and forget it. It's nice. It's convenient. And having had a traditional fryer before, a deep fryer, and done a lot of chicken wings in that, you don't wind up coating your entire home in grease.
So while this is cooking, do we want to go ahead and talk about something else?
Yeah. So the other.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, you do. The other really exciting thing, just discovered this yesterday, is there are a number of brands now that have gone down the sweet route for keto and low carb eaters. There's a lot of chocolate. Reese's has a phenomenal Reese's Cup Mini that uses sugar alcohols, which are sugars that don't have the same blood sugar spike as traditional sugar.
Reese's.
Nope. So they've got one. There's a number of different companies that have. Russell Stover has a number of different sugar-free options.
They do. I have to watch myself with those though, because those will throw me out of ketosis.
How do you know?
Because I know that when I'm doing just pretty much straight up meat only, and I eat a couple of those things, that I get thrown out of ketosis.
How do you know that?
Strips.
Those are garbage.
Yeah. Well, they show me.
No, they don't.
Show me what I know.
No, they don't.
And here's the other thing about those. You got to be careful because they have maltitol in them as a sweetener, and that can have a laxative effect.
And it can do that. The pea strips are useless. Don't bother buying them. Don't bother using them. Because
I don't buy them, but I use them.
They tell you nothing.
I get them for
You use them in the
free.
store.
I get them for free. No.
has to open the jar. It's fine. They don't tell you anything. So what those are measuring is excess ketones. That's the ketones that your body is excreting. The only time it's really going to be doing that in mass is when you're first starting keto. And it's going to do that automatically as a result of eating less than 20 net carbs.
Let's get back to this.
Yeah. So don't waste your time. Don't worry about it because it's not telling you anything. Your body is burning the ketones.
Tell me about this.
That you're making. So there are a number of companies that are now making ice cream. This one is probably the lowest that I have ever seen, and it is actually being advertised as high fat, low carb, and keto on the label. There are a couple of them that are about 5 net carbs for a quarter pint. And there are a couple of them that are being made with coconut instead of dairy. So they're dairy-free options that are pretty low carb. This one here, Rebel, is advertising the number on the front, and they know who their audience is. The number here on the front is the total net carbs for the entire pint. So this pint of ice cream has 6 net carbs. Most of the alternative keto ice creams have 5 to 6 net carbs for a quarter of a pint. All right, so we're starting to get some toasting edges here. It needs more time. So you can see here, this entire, this I can touch. So if I'm emptying this out, I'll grip it. I'll do this grip here to remove the basket. I'll grip it from top and bottom. Thankfully, I have hands big enough. But then as I'm putting the basket back in, it's getting really close to my fingers. And got to kind of slam it down to get it back into a safe position. So that needs a little bit more time. Hasn't burnt down the shop yet.
And then you brought this for me, right?
Yeah, mostly. So Rebel has, I will tell you, I didn't bring the best one.
Actually, I like mint chocolate.
I know you do. That's why I brought it. And also, it's not the best one because I saved the other half pint of that for myself. The salted caramel. So I've now in 24 hours, 24 hours I've tried 5 of their different flavors. A friend brought 3 of them, and I bought 2 of the others. So they've got cookie dough, mint chocolate chip. They've got cookies and cream. They have a peanut butter fudge, salted caramel, straight up vanilla. I don't know that any of the flavors have chocolate in them.
You could serve this to me, and I would have no idea this is anything other than delicious ice cream.
Yeah, this is the second best in my opinion after the salted caramel.
And you got this at the grocery store, right?
Yeah, I got this at Food Lion. Now, one thing to note, because at the end of the day, keto works because we are conditioning our body to eat less. Fat is pretty satiating in a way that sugar is not. Sugar triggers the hunger response, and so when we eat sugar, we get hungry, feeling within a couple of hours
for more sugar.
And so, that's one of the reasons why keto works. Ultimately, though, keto and any other diet is limiting calories, right? And so it is easy and very tempting to look at this and say only 6 carbs per a pint. I'm gonna sit down and eat a pint without noticing that it is 160 calories per serving, and there are 4 servings in the container. So you're talking about 620 calories for the entire pint, which, if that fits into your diet, great, do that. But for someone that's trying to eat 1,200 calories in a day, it's gonna be a lot.
That's tough to accomplish on keto.
What, 1,200 calories?
Yeah,
it is, but it's how you lose a lot of weight.
This
is very high fat though for people that are low body mass that are on keto. It's great for them because they need to have fat as fuel. This is 16 grams of fat and 2 grams of protein for a serving. So that whole thing is going to be 60.
By the way, grams. I just mentioned 1 meal a day. Can you explain that? Because that's also a thing that a lot of folks are doing now.
Yeah, intermittent fasting has become very popular. It's where you're restricting the hours of the day that you're eating, and by doing that, it is easier to eat fewer calories because to eat 3,000 calories, let's say, is what you would eat in a normal 24-hour day. To eat that in a window that's only 6 hours long, you have to eat a lot more, and you're feeling much more full. And so a lot of people are restricting their eating to 8 hours a day. I'm going to eat from noon to 8. So basically lunch, a snack, and dinner, and that's it. No breakfast, no late night snacking, anything. By doing that and nothing else, you're restricting the number of calories you're eating down maybe 400 or 600 extra calories. The most extreme versions of that are to do only 4 hours a day, or in many cases just one meal a day, which is what I do.
OMAD.
Five days of the week. OMAD, one meal a day. 5 days a week, I'll just eat one meal, and when I do that, I can easily lose 2 or 3 pounds in a day, and then gain a little bit over the weekend because I'm eating a couple of meals and usually am less careful about restricting calories, but then have a net weight loss by the end of the week.
The longest I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it definitely is not.
Piece of toast is being made.
It's definitely not the most timely way to make toast. That's for sure. But if you don't have a toaster, proof of concept. So one of the things I did with this,
I
made
hear it
some
running. I expected that it would make a loud noise.
No, it's running right now. Like I said, the heat is not on, but it's at temperature, so it works just like a griddle. Once it heats, it cools and kicks back on. But it's still circulating the air. There, the heat just came back on. I made some cinnamon toast in here. Mixed some butter, cinnamon, and erythritol up, and spread that on top before doing it. It was really good, actually. Which is something was able to make it butter on something that you can't do in a toaster, but you can do in an oven.
Erythritol is another thing that wasn't so common before. Having artificial sweeteners that are not outrageously sweet and not bringing funky aftertaste to the party.
So I know you like extra crispy, but we're not going to get there in this episode. I'll grill the grilled cheese through the next episode. Maybe it'll be done by the time we're done. But got crisp edges. It's like a lightly toasted.
Buttered it.
I did butter it, and so it was cooked.
Why does it have
butter.
a hole in the middle of it?
Bread? I don't know. Yeast?
So I toast this stuff in the toaster.
Yeah, you can do that. I didn't say you can't toast it. So, as far as the bread is concerned, Aldi rolled it out nationwide. It's selling like crazy still. They're having to limit it to a number of 4 loaves. I'm buying 4 loaves every time I go, and that's once or twice a week. What I would say is, on the bread scale, I'd rate it like 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Like, it's fine. It's bread. It's not, Wonder Bread or some of the. It's nothing fancy. It's just, it's okay sandwich bread. I'm not a big fan of wheat bread normally. On the I can eat as much of it as I want to on keto scale, it's a 10. It's a 10 to be able to have something to basically a bun for a sausage, to be able to make sandwiches, egg sandwiches, toast.
I've been saving the heels of the bread, and I use that for hamburger buns. Again, I don't care for this version as well as I do the other.
Yeah.
That and I would have put about half a stick of butter on that.
I did. You're not tasting the butter?
Not as much, no.
There's a lot of butter. There's a lot of butter in mine, but it's just not gotten crisp enough to bring the flavor out. So I got a grilled cheese over here I'm gonna make next week.
Now, does this thing make things faster then if you throw the grilled cheese in? Does it warm up and now it's ready to go? And
No. So it is absolutely a bad way to make grilled cheese. Just like, however, it is not much different than cooking a steak in a sous vide, right? That that half of what you're paying for, half of what you're hoping to get out of it, is free time. You don't have to babysit it. You don't have to stand over the griddle. You don't have to do anything. The convenience of it being a set it and forget it, hands off sort of deal is valuable in its own right. You're paying for that and a little bit extra time.
Well, then what you get from sous vide is it will be perfect.
I know. So what's nice about doing the grilled cheese in here, I will say, you're probably going to be disappointed in the level of toastiness again. At least I was the other day. But what is kind of nice is it does a really, really, really good job of melting the cheese. And so you do get a very nice cheese layer in there.
I think I'm weird in that I like to have bread when I eat toast. I like to have the toast almost dehydrated.
Yeah.
Almost stale.
Yeah.
I always, if I'm going out for breakfast somewhere and getting toast, I always order it dry with butter on the side, because they'll butter it back in the kitchen. It sits under a heat lamp, and then when it shows up, it's soggy. I like having it crisp, and so I'll sometimes will cook grilled cheese sandwiches and have the oven set on warm, or a couple 100 degrees. And as I'm cooking them in the pan, I will toss them down into the oven to continue to bake and, like I say, kind of dry out.
All right, so we'll check on the grilled cheese at the end of next week's episode, and I'm going to turn the temperature down and let it cook a little bit lower and slower and see if that's anywhere close with your liking. I will tell you, I expect you to be dissatisfied, but I thought it was a fun experiment.
I'm hungry, so probably not.
Yeah.
So the Rebel ice cream, it's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And that's a solution. I think, again, those of us that are watching our carbs need to be careful. I always still look at the carbohydrate total, and then, you can do some of this math to come up with your net carbs. For me, it tends to come out, if I'm being honest with myself, about half of the things that they say you can reduce, subtract. So, with this being 12 carbs, and then you can subtract 3 and you can subtract 8, I would take half of that off, and let's say that's 5. And so I would say that that's going to be somewhere around 7 or 8 for me.
Well, and there's also, that's the safest way. I've got a buddy who has been incredibly successful on keto, and he counts anything that counts as a carb as a carb. Excuse me. And so he does no math at all. And so he won't touch the Aldi bread or anything, because he's like, I'm not going to subtract anything from it. And he's had incredible success.
Of course you would.
If you really want to dive into it and be really strict about it, Keto Connect channel on YouTube has done a number of really good videos where they look at the different types of artificial sweeteners and sugar alcohols, and they taste them, and they do a blood level and a blood ketone level monitoring. That one does count because it's actually monitoring the ketones in your blood and not what's being excess. And they look at what is the actual effect of some of these sugar alcohols. And what they find, and what you can find charts for, is that some of them on the glycemic index are half as bad as sugar, at spiking your blood sugar. Some are a quarter, some none at all. Like monk fruit is one that has zero effect.
And erythritol
has zero effect. But there are some that sound good. That maltitol is one that has a pretty significant jump compared to sugar. So when you see that and you see it, sugar alcohol, that's one where you would subtract half maybe, and that's the one that's most common in a lot of the candy. Is that? So this is using erythritol, which is good. So there's a lot to it, but you can play it either way. I tend to play it on the it's my life, and I'm doing really good things for myself and eating some ice cream sometimes side. So don't worry about it too much.
All right, that's good. Yeah, so I had some success with the low carb. I put some of it back since my surgery. I need to get back on it and get serious about it. Kind of had a victory lap, and that victory lap put some weight back on. Not happy about it, but hey, it happens. Had a physical yesterday that went really well. Doctor
Yeah.
was happy with that. Funny thing. They gave me this clipboard that had a plastic laminated sheet and a whiteboard marker, and they wanted me to circle these things. And the whole thing was about peeing. Right, and
So hard.
urine flow. How many times in the last week did your urine start and stop? Do you make it to the night without peeing? All these things, you're circling these things down. Then you total your numbers down and you give yourself a score. And the score that I should have given myself was a score of 0. But what that says, this is on the bother score due to urinary symptoms. 0 is delighted. I am delighted with my urine flow. And I said, I've never been delighted with my urine flow. So I circled pleased, because there have been many times I have been pleased with my urine flow. Usually it's off a balcony and
Yeah.
at a condo somewhere.
Is bragging one of the options on there?
Yes,
Like,
yes it was.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that before, and I'm just guessing it's men of a certain age get to take urine tests like that. Funny.
Congratulations to you,
I'm pleased. So,
but not delighted.
all right, that's it. I hope you stuck around to this point, and love to see your comments on whether you have tried any of this bread, if you're using an air fryer, any of this stuff that has inspired you to leave us a comment or a thumbs up, and hope you make it a great week.
See you.